These figures are freestanding figures that stood on top of carved meeting houses. Most of them have a stance that represented a position in haka or a fighting stance with a weapon. The purpose of the teko teko was to overlook the forecourt in front of a carved house and challenge any visitors to the tribe. If the visitors were deemed friendly, teko teko would then offer them protection. So welcome Soha on that.
Thank you so much.
Can I also request Grant to present New Zealand souvenirs to our Kiwi ambassadors? Um, we can start with Shabana. Can I request Surbi to come over now? And finally, Amit. Thank you very much, Grant. Great. Can I now request Soha to share her thoughts on her association with Education New Zealand, Manapau Kitea?
Thank you so much, Abdu. And thank you, firstly, Grant, for this lovely token. So where should I put it in the house? At the entrance?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
That is what we need. All right. Thank you so much. And I'm just so excited to be a part of this family. I believe in New Zealand, we call it for now, but I'm hoping it's not just for now, it's for a lot longer. Sorry. As a brand advocate, thank you for that. As a brand advocate for India, I think it's a really organic connection because a lot of you who know me will understand the importance of education in my life, how I've seen it's really helped me stand apart in so many ways and given me so much confidence. We've understood the importance of education in India, and we've seen how literacy has made such a huge difference for all of us. So I think the importance that New Zealand gives to education is one of the various ways that we've connected. And I'm so excited that I've got to know so much more about New Zealand ever since this partnership started. Before this partnership, my connection with New Zealand was one very special one. When my father captained the Indian cricket team, it was our first overseas win, was in New Zealand. So we're now remaking history and building and deepening our partnership beyond that. Of course, there's so many things about New Zealand that I knew earlier, apart from its beauty. One of the values that resonates with us as a country and me as a person is things like inclusion, things like sustainability, which I know are very important underpinnings of the educational system and the curriculum. And that's something that meant a lot to me when we started this journey. That apart, of course, excellence as well. And the fact that even though there are only 8 universities in New Zealand, they are among the top 3% in the world. So that just shows how much excellence there is over there. So more than me, of course, we have representatives who've actually lived the educational system, they will speak to you and all of us about their experiences there. But I'm just so excited to learn so much more from all of you. One of the reasons, again, I thought that it was wonderful that we're connecting with New Zealand is inclusion, and to speak to that is the fact that New Zealand was one of the first countries that offered women the right to vote, which was something that I learned also more recently. So it's these things, I think, that speak volumes, and again, actions that speak more than words. So it's a beautiful culture and a beautiful language, and so many things that I'm learning, for example, about Aotearoa, which is, again, another way of saying New Zealand. And as I said, there are people here who know so much more that will speak to you. And one of the places that I wanted to start was with Grant, because you're here to talk about that. But we'll go into that in detail. Just thank you for including me. Thank you for making me a brand advocate. I hope that I get to go to New Zealand because I haven't been. And it's been on my list for such a long time. So I don't know if that's part of this partnership, but I really hope it is. Just putting it out there.
Great. I think we've got quite a few DVCs who've taken a note of that, and also Grant who's taken a note of that. So that was really a wonderful way to set the scene for the conversations ahead, Soha. I'll let you now lead the correrero of these discussions. So over to you.
Okay, thank you. I'm actually not usually in this seat. Usually I answer the questions. And you have to be far more attentive when you're asking the questions, and you have a script as well. So I will try and stick to it. But it's exciting to be in control. I don't know if I'm in control, but it's exciting to apparently be in control of this conversation. But before I go into the conversation, I do have to draw attention to this beautiful painting behind us, of which I don't know much about, and I think, Rat, maybe you can tell us what exactly this signifies.
So what you're seeing here is a traditional greeting, a Maori greeting. They're our indigenous people of New Zealand. It's referred to as a hongi, and it is bringing together of noses, sometimes foreheads as well, and also people put their hand on the shoulder. It's also, we undertake a handshake at the same time, and it's around bringing people closer together, sharing that environment, and it's a way of being more welcoming than just a sort of extended hand and a handshake. So, yeah, a very traditional part of New Zealand and our culture.
And does this happen in a formal setting or an informal setting?
No, it can happen any time. It is just a recognition of greeting in any circumstances.
It's beautiful. Have you ever taken part in a hongi?
Part of this, yes, I have seen during the induction which took place at Otago. I'd seen the Maori dance and it was fascinating. I got like goosebumps when I saw it. And it's fierce, but at the same time, it's very elegant. It's got its own rhythm in its own way, and the culture of Maori is like very, very interesting. One of my very dear friends was a Maori, and I got to see that culture. Even we had people from Samoa, Tonga. And in India, we have so many cultures, right? We live among so many religions, different cultures. And it was just an extension where I never thought I'll get it in NZ. And I fell in love with New Zealand when I was there. They're the nicest people on earth.
So how many years were you there for?
I was there for a year.
For a year.
But I felt like I lived a decade there with I was with a very immersive experience there.
But I know it's very difficult to try and pinpoint one experience that maybe stood out for you in your time in New Zealand. But if there's one that you could refer to that was perhaps the most memorable?
So my most memorable, not just in New Zealand, but entire life was when I first skydived and I jumped off 13,000 feet.
And this is something you chose to do?
I chose to do. I chose to do, like when I was thinking of doing an MBA in 2016 era, doing an MBA in New Zealand was not much heard of. And a lot of people thought, like, why New Zealand? And I thought it was a perfect setting for me that I'll be studying my term papers and then going to Queenstown for doing zip lining. You will feel as if you're zip lining across the forest, which is there in Star Wars. You will see that kind of setting is there. The river rafting you do is like, it's of the magnitude you do in Ladakh or Uttaranchal, and skydive. I ended up doing 3 skydive throughout my 1 year of term. I felt so much. There was 2 ice in Queenstown, 1 in Wanaka. And I always tell the students, when any student contacts me why they should do an MBA, I'm like, academic is great, go for the sports adventure. Like, just I would burn, like, please, ENZ should bring Soha as early as possible.
I don't want to do skydiving. If the skydiving is mandatory, then we need to have another conversation.
And apart from it, since she's a Bollywood star, the another moment which will always
let's talk about the other moments.
So I was part of the Indian Students Association, and I was part of the Bollywood fusion dance, and we did like 7-8 dances.
Did you really?
Yeah, and it was really, really great. Like, dancing with, there were Kiwis also part of the Bollywood dance, and the way they adapted. But apart from the extracurricular, from the academic side, I think they are the finest faculty. The coursework was so well designed that it kind of attracted me for MBA. I worked in the medical device, the healthcare industry, and throughout the last decade, the pitch has been value-based healthcare. How we can make the best healthcare possible for all the people. I'll rate New Zealand education as value-based education. You get the finest education. It's like a complete package when it comes to studying in New Zealand.
Absolutely.
And I'll advocate, like, throughout since I graduated, I think I was talking to someone, I was talking to Victoria, and counseled more than 50 students. And when I present them as a package, like they don't think of any other option, but they think like, wow, and such events, and Soha's here. So now I think ANZ will get a much better face. But
Thanks for promoting me as well as as well as
no, we all love you, but I
Thank
think
you.
New Zealand education comes with a whole package. The community, student community is very vibrant. They are the nicest people, very friendly people. The way they accommodate, different
Yes.
cultures. Because we come from, say, I study from India, and I spoke. My best friend in NZ was a Kiwi, and his name is Alex. And I asked, Alex said, I would never leave my house to study in India or any other country.
Yeah.
So they say you guys are gutsy. You leave your home to study in another country and come. But I think the whole setting of NZ and the people of NZ make it so easy that for us to immerse in that culture, it's very quick.
I think you're absolutely right, which is one of the strengths of studying in New Zealand. I think is
Yeah.
the fact that you feel, and the people there make you feel welcomed, which is a
Yes.
big deal when you're going such a long way away from home, your culture, your food, your environment, your
Yes.
climate,
Yes.
and then you go to a place. I've also studied abroad, and it takes a while to settle in.
Yes.
But when you're working in a culture that is inclusive, that embraces diversity, that is welcoming, then your journey becomes so enjoyable, and these are people you stay in touch with for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Alex and you hopefully are still friends.
Yeah, I've traveled across 5 continents, 40 countries, but every time I get asked which is your favorite country,
Yeah,
it's always New Zealand.
that's one.
And it will all. I think it might always be New Zealand.
Oh, thank you.
Queenstown, my favorite city. So yeah.
No, thank you, Amit, for sharing that with so much passion. I'll turn now to Shabana. Shabana's away. Yeah, I know that. So, if you could share maybe your top 3 learnings from your time in New Zealand at university.
Thank you, Soha, but it's a really difficult question to answer because I think I can write a book about it. So
Don't do that right now. Just
yeah, not right now. I will just begin with the 3. So I think I'm a passionate researcher, and much of it also comes from what I learned in New Zealand. So first thing I really learned about the value of practical as well as interdisciplinary learning. And as Jugnu shared, I was based at the School of Geography, Environment and Earth Sciences. So every Friday there used to be a lecture from different subject backgrounds. We didn't only have the physical and human geographer, but also people from development studies, environmental sciences, as well as Antarctica Research Center and geology and all of that, and I get to learn all of it. I think it's much easier to learn through an expert when they are speaking in front of you rather than reading all those interdisciplinary books. So it really helped me a lot to grasp their point of view. And I think in New Zealand, even all of research is very practical, and I get to meet all the professionals from disaster management field because my research was on natural hazards and disaster. I met so many people from Ministry of Civil Defense and Emergency Management, which was really great, and that made me to think more passionately about my research because it did have a direct implication what governments can do, what people can do about such situations. So that is my first learning. The second one is I got to be more independent. I think I went to New Zealand when I was 25, 26 years, but it was the first time I was moving out of my house to live somewhere which I don't know anything about. Even though I got a lot of counseling, including Jugnu, I remember, first time I met that time as well. And I went there, my supervisor and all the people were very comforting. Initially, it was a shock from Delhi, such a big scale difference to going to Wellington. But like after 5 years, I never wanted to come back. I was like, I want to be here. And Wellington is my favorite city as well. It's still now. And so I get to learn so much. And after, just within a few weeks of going there, I started teaching as well because that was part of my scholarship. And I saw the young, graduate students with whom I was working, and they were so much independent. So those people also inspired me a lot. So the third key lesson I really got is to value the different point of views. And because New Zealand is truly international, there are people from all over the world, and everyone who has been there, no one wants to go back. So I have so many German friends that I made in New Zealand, and they never wanted to go back to Germany. So it was strange, but everyone is like that. And I also agreed to disagree. That was really great thing, and I think because we can value someone's point of view without having to agree to it. And I really like that New Zealand pays a lot of attention, and it really values the nature and people with diversity. So, and inclusiveness, what New Zealand has is, I think we can learn a lot. So I think that is pretty much my takeaways, and there are more, but I think we don't have time.
No, there's no that's not. You're well within your time. I was really listening to you with so much attention because I also relate to the fact that a good education is so much more than having access to even good books or good professors. It's really about the whole experience. And I think it speaks volumes that both of you have found favorite cities in New Zealand from your short time there. And in terms of your experiences, in terms of the independence, like for me, I studied history abroad as well, but it wasn't about the dates at all. It was just about really learning how to navigate in a foreign culture, how to use a washing machine, how to use public transport, things that when you come from a protected background, in India perhaps, you're a little nervous about doing. And it really teaches you again how to hold your own, how to have an independent way of thinking, how to respect other people's points of views and other cultures, and yet represent your own and be proud of your own. So that's wonderful to hear. Thank you, Shabana, for sharing that. And now that brings me to Surbi. And you have a wonderful background in sport, and of course you're very passionate and continue to be about sport, and that must have been a natural reason for you to want to go to New Zealand. We've heard about the skydiving. Can you tell me perhaps 3 of your favorite activities that you encountered or experienced in your time at university there? Well, our time starts now.
Awesome. I would say the first one, coming from a sport background, it would definitely be go for a rugby match, especially if it's New Zealand.
Yeah.
Because they will have their haka before every match, which is their warrior dance before every match.
Nice.
And that's an experience that I think everyone in this world must experience. Okay.
Must experience that experience, yes.
Second, I would say, well, everybody says skydiving and bungee jumping, but I would go for the treks, the jungle walks, and the treks.
I will go with you on those treks.
It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. I would love to come with you.
Yeah.
Forests are beautiful, and like everybody says, there's nothing dangerous in New Zealand, so you can just go with a free mind. I think my best experience in my walks was probably I was standing on a mountain with a blue lake on my right and a green lake on my left.
Wow.
It was beautiful. Third one I would say would be go for the hot springs. So
Yes.
they just have these natural hot springs where you can just go for a dip. My favorite one was at the Cathedral Cove, where you just go with a spade with your friends. Like go on a road trip, go with a spade with your friends, dig at the beach, and there's going to be hot water coming out.
Really? Wow.
And you can just sit in that water and relax. It's beautiful.
It's so nice. That's.
Yeah.
How long ago were you there? How many years ago?
2015 to 2017, 2 years.
2 years. That's wonderful. It's just to be in the outdoors, to be in a natural environment that has so much to offer, that you can also learn from is wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Is it too late for me to go to New Zealand as a student?
Never too late.
It's never too late, right?
And we have all of the New Zealand universities here ready to sign you up.
So we should chat.
Yeah, we should.
Because I think that this is an experience. I mean, you're speaking with so much passion, and I'm definitely feeling that I have a few years left, but I want, I don't know about the skydiving, but there's an adventurous side of me that I definitely want to explore. And, we can marry that together with some learning, and can take my family along.
Yeah, we can arrange something.
What's the longest course I can do?
Well, it's lifelong learning.
Can I be a doctor? It's too late to be a doctor.
Never
Sorry,
too
can I
late.
add to that, please? I actually had students in my class who were like probably 20, 30 years older than me,
Yeah.
and just did not matter. Not at all.
No, it's really wonderful. I'm hearing so much about it. I'm very excited about this partnership. And before we move forward, I know that the Kiwi advocates have talked about their experiences there. But Grant, is there anything that you would like to add for a potential Indian student, an aspirant wanting to study in New Zealand, or something that would draw them to New Zealand as a place to study?
I think there's a couple of things, and we're incredibly proud about our own education system, and then to come out into the international markets and see people that have come to our country to experience it. makes me even more proud of our education system, and it's, I thank our Kiwi ambassadors for their reflections on coming to New Zealand. And if there's a few things that have come out, one, it's not only that you're going to get that high quality education that can set you up for life in terms of you're work ready, you can go into other parts of the world with this qualification that just is so valuable and powerful for you. And as we've talked about, our New Zealand universities are really in the top level of around the world. That's really one thing. But it's actually that broader experience that I think you touched on about how it rounds you out as a person. You get to do things, meet people that are going to be different from you, and it's all in a very open and safe environment. You can exchange ideas without threats. You can actually work with other people from other cultures. And we've heard his friend was Maori, you had some German students that are now your friends. That's a really great environment that as a young person to engage with. And I think that that's something that New Zealand can do. Then you've got the broader lifestyle that we talked about, and we heard a lot about the outdoor activities, but also there's a lot of cultural events that you can go to and a whole range of things. I think the other thing that's really important for New Zealand as international students come back into our country, our borders have only recently reopened in the last 6 months, so it's great to have them open, is that you're bringing your culture to our country as well. And so for our New Zealand students, like Alex, for them to understand the wider world, understand how different people from different parts of the world think, speak, how they engage, is incredible learning for a country like ours, and those global connections are just so important. The other thing, I think New Zealand is really making attractive kind of settings so that people can come, they come for their education, but then they've got opportunities to explore our country, to gain some experience in the work environment that allows them to move on, come home. Nice to meet these ambassadors who have come back to India and creating their new life. So the thing with New Zealand is it's got so many elements to an international education experience, and it's also accessible. And that again came through in the comments that have been made today. So we are really very open, we're welcoming, and we are really looking forward to seeing Indian students come to New Zealand to kind of further the next step of their lives.
Wonderful, thank you, Grant. I think I've really learned a lot from this discussion. I already knew, I have to say, quite a lot of it. But it's wonderful to hear people speaking truly passionately. And I think, again, as I said, one of the things that you said was these are friends that you make for life. These are cities that continue to be your favorite places to live and experience. That means so much. And of course, New Zealand is far away, but the fact that this world is becoming smaller, more accessible, that cultures are so entwined, and we have work and friends and families that now live all over the world. It's just wonderful that your borders, as you said, are recently open again, and this is an exchange that we want to promote and further. So it's great, and thank you, Grant, firstly for being here and for sharing that, and to our advocates, to Amit, to Shabana, to Sulbi for sharing your perspectives. I think that's me trying to close this session and handing the mic back to you, Jugnu, virtually, so that you can.
Thank you so much, Soha. I think you did a really good job as the interviewer. So that's a new one that you can probably explore.
I can put that on my CV now. Yes.
And was in charge.
Yes, I was in charge briefly.
Interviewing New Zealand delegates.
Yes.
So thank you very much. I think we will now close the session, and we have some media interviews after that. And to all our guests here, please feel free to join us for lunch. And Soha will be here for a bit to answer some questions from the media. But thank you very much for being here today and for all of these beautiful conversations that we've had. A big thank you to all our Kiwi ambassadors for coming over and sharing their stories. They were really inspiring for a lot of students like yourselves who are still considering about going to New Zealand and thinking about why. So you really answered those whys really well. And thank you very much, Grant, for speaking to the media and giving us all of that conversations about the delegation and what is the strategy that New Zealand is looking at with, in terms of collaborating more with India. And thank you very much, Soha, for advocating all of that. Thank you very much. Have a glass.
I'll try not to have my microphone off, so moving on to it.